This week on Prof and Dev Play Games, we talk Xbox and all the things we have been playing. See you soon. All right, my friends, welcome to episode 470 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry. I'm the professor at Prof Plays Games on Blue Sky. And over there is Anthony. He plays games. He makes games. He's on Blue Sky at Summerspeak. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. I feel like I'm doing a lot more making game right now as opposed to playing.
You come home after making game and you're like, I just don't want to do anything.
Yeah, weekends I'm definitely playing games still, but weeknights tends to be like we say goodnight to the kids and everything. I'll chat with my wife a bit, and then by like 8:39 I could play a game, and I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna watch some videos or read or peruse magic cards.
Yes. I know what that's been like lately.
I'm just like, oh, this is fine. Watch videos about perusing magic cards. That happens too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Down that rabbit hole.
I am very much down that rabbit hole right now.
But yeah, that's mostly me. You've had an exciting weekend of professorship stuff, I should say.
Yeah, union activism. I was at the CFT convention, and we had a street action about the nasty stuff our president's doing and the impact it's having on our students. So that felt good to be out there and be doing something and be learning things and workshops that can help us take meaningful action to help our students.
Yeah.
So that, action is the antidote to anxiety. And I feel lucky that I'm in a position where I can actually do things. I know not everyone is in that position, and it's just so big. So,
yeah.
Every little action anyone can take, no matter how small, it just helps unravel the whole cloth a little bit. So don't feel bad if you can't do anything big, but do something small. But yeah, that. And then next weekend, I'm going to New York, which means I won't. Actually, no, I could probably still. Well, we'll see. We'll talk about that. But I'll be in New York for a collective bargaining conference. So yeah, March is just so many.
The funnest things.
Yeah. Working every weekend.
I have other friends up here who are on they're high school teachers, but they're on their respective union bargaining teams. And collective bargaining time comes around. Everyone like, I'm not going to see you. Are we? Nope. I'm doing this. And they enjoy it. They've done it for years at this point. But the horror stories and the hell that the bargaining is,
Yep.
I hear those too. And I'm like, I'm glad you enjoy this. I don't think I would.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite things to do. It is, I haven't done it when I've had a terrible team across the table from me. I've had bad teams, but not like truly awful. So been blessed with that, but it's a lot of fun. If you like that if you like conflict, which I do. So, yep. I just don't even blink. Like I'm the bad cop often.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, I will. I'm respectful, but I will say the things that we need to say there and other places. So we have a great team, though. Our team is quite amazing.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah, need a good team. It's not any one person. So, too bad Phil Spencer couldn't have had a better bargaining about making Xbox better than it was. It has exited the console race in some way, according to Phil Spencer.
According to himself.
Yes. Talking about Xbox tonight. So, what did you hear? What did you come away?
Yeah. What was so this was a while ago. Well, not a while, like 2 weeks ago at this point, 3 weeks ago. Phil Spencer kind of was interviewed. And he was quoted for saying, that the paraphrase, the console wars, as Microsoft knows it, are over. That they don't, not quote, I am not trying to move them all over to Xbox anymore. And I think this is in response to kind of Xbox games coming to PlayStation, Switch, PC as well has been long time happening, but now really just being like, yeah, we don't really care where you play these games. We're just going to make the games and you can play them on whatever console seems right for you. And in kind of a way, it is putting up the white flag of, the Xbox console ecosphere is just dead right now. It never truly recovered from the Xbox One.
Yeah, actually, that was the generation to lose, like you said.
Yeah, and then that they didn't even compete with the PS4 in the end, and then they couldn't. Even putting out something that is comparably stronger and seems to generally hit the right notes with this Xbox Series. Series. I don't like that, but
the name.
The X and the S, like, it did okay, but it still hasn't made really ingrounds against Sony, and Sony's has definitely kept growing, and then the Switch just has been insane for its entire life cycle. And they don't. It makes sense to me that they're like, yeah, we're kind of done with this. Take the Sega route from, man, the Sega had the Dreamcast, and that didn't go that great. Side note, Dreamcast is still a great system. I love the Dreamcast.
The people talk more really fondly about it.
Game.
Yeah.
I mean, you should... I think that, when we talk about like favorite games and like memories and everything, I do remember it was the summer between freshman and sophomore years of college. I had a Dreamcast. I had picked up a Dreamcast, and someone just handed for $20 when I was leaving my dorm for the summer. Another dorm mate was like, "Hey, $20, I'll give you this stack of pirated Dreamcast games, burnt disc Dreamcast games." And I was like, "Sure." But I mean, that had Dead or Alive 2, San Francisco Rush 2049. What else was in there? There's a ton of games. I remember we played that crap out of them that summer.
My only memory of your Dreamcast is that it almost killed me. And I don't know if you remember this.
Is that where you jumped into your head?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yep.
I remember that to this day.
Absolutely fucking brained myself.
I don't just blame the Dreamcast on that. I mean, that was your own self of being like, I'm going to jump right by this door frame.
I'm not blaming the Dreamcast. That's just, I'm saying that's my memory of the Dreamcast, is putting it down and going to go get a drink or whatever from the kitchen and jumping over something and crushing my head into that beam across that living room. And I thought I was dead. I just fell to the ground. Oh my God, it hurt so fucking bad.
We checked for concussion. You were fine.
Oh my God.
I do remember that. I'm like, maybe that's why you don't remember much more of that summer.
Exactly. Yep. Everything else is black after that. Oh yeah.
Because I was working up at Mount St. Helens, and it was like that probably like 3 or 4 weeks I was back between finishing Mount St. Helens and having to go back to school. But man, I just remember playing the shit out of that Dreamcast. And it just had those games. I was playing a ton of those. That's where I was playing Guilty Gear X back in the day. So my side note is Dreamcast actually was a really, really cool console. It unfortunately launched on the day the PS2 was announced.
Yikes.
Sony kind of did that to them.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and so it never got traction. But there were cool games on it. But Sega was, since that point, it's just been like, no, we just make our games and put them everywhere. They've probably made far more money that way. And I feel like that's where Microsoft is at. They're just like, well, do we need to sell the hardware anymore? Probably not. We want game subscriptions. We can do that through PC.
Yep.
And will they start doing it, try to do it on other platforms? Maybe.
I like the idea of moving forward, if they're going to do this, with like a premium console and then like a handheld to cover like a lower end, maybe. But then just everywhere, because they're going to make more money that way, it seems like, because everyone else has the consoles that they want to sell on. Switch 2 is going to be a market for them. The Switch 1 has already been a bit of a market for them. PlayStation's, there's more of those out there. The interesting thing is when you release it on PlayStation or Steam, you give 30% of your profits to those platforms, I believe.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Although they're big enough, they're giving some portion. I have a feeling that they're big enough that they would get the lower rates.
Interesting.
Valve with Steam, there is like, this is a weird thing. It was many years ago. There was always this complaints of like 30% seems like a lot. And they're like, fine, we'll do more of a graduated rates, where 30 is standard. Where I would think that it would be then that like their games and small people would get a better rate. No, they didn't do it that way. Everyone pays 30.
Yeah.
It's if you sell millions of copies, the rate goes down.
So the biggest people get them.
Yes, they get the rate.
Yeah.
I think down to at least 20%, maybe 15%. I have to look at it. It was years ago when they changed it. But yeah, if you're an indie game selling like 100,000 copies, you're paying that. You don't. Yeah. I'm like, why don't you flip it the other way?
Because that would make more sense.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I think you're right there on generally Microsoft just choosing to go that way is better. They probably will have some high-end console, or I mean, there's part of me that wonders if they rebrand a handheld on a console to be, it's still in the Xbox ecosystem, but more like with the handheld being like a Microsoft handheld that is not purely Xbox, and like the console saying like, hey, this isn't a console, it's a like entertainment PC. It's something you'll have connected to your TV multimedia box that can play these games. It's a good PC. It can do all the streaming that you want to do, and just kind of more market it that direction as, no, you just have this. And it can, of course, do Game Pass. So you just have a big access to a bunch of stuff, and not try to brand it a little bit different than like, hey, this is competing with the next PlayStation directly.
And just kind of get the Xbox names out of there a bit.
A little bit, and just try to refocus what Xbox means. It's like, yeah, Xbox is the gaming division of Microsoft, and this is a Microsoft. I don't want to call it media PC because that is a thing that existed a long time ago, but basically that of being like, hey, this is a streamlined, very focused multimedia media PC that you just want to have there, and it can do all these things. It can play these different games. A lot like the Steam Deck having that being, it generally all plays Steam and everything, but I go into its desktop mode pretty frequently to do different things. I've gone into the desktop, I've installed Firefox on it, and I will use it to like watch YouTube through there or stream Disney Plus or any of the streaming. Like, because it's just, I mean, once you're in Linux, you can just use it as a PC. And I do. So, but it's not like it wants to be focused as a Steam machine, but they don't block you from doing other things. And I wonder if Microsoft will kind of take a, not as freeform as Valve in that way, but more in a, this plays games and that's its primary thing, but you can use it to do all these other things as well. Right. I don't think Microsoft completely gets out of the hardware.
I don't think so either. I think they're gonna have consoles because people have discs that they want to play on whatever the next thing is. They'll sell something. They just won't, I think, expect to sell millions and millions and millions. It'll be a niche thing, more niche as we go. Yeah.
But the handheld thing is like it's ramping up pretty big. I've seen more and more rumors out of that.
Well, part of the rumor is that like Asus is doing like a handheld for them. Third party thing that's coming out this year that's Xbox branded. Yeah.
Because it was January when they said that, and it's like Microsoft's VP saying that it's the best of Xbox and Windows together, which I'm like, what is that?
Oh no.
I'm like, that does not make me confident. No,
that doesn't sound great.
But 4 days ago, I think was Microsoft, the rumors are Microsoft is collaborating with third-party OEMs to develop an Xbox-branded PC gaming handheld.
Right.
So it's kind of weird. It's like where right now Valve is only supporting the Steam Deck, even though they just put out a preview on Friday with the next version of SteamOS. It's not officially out, but if you want to, you can make your Steam Deck use it right now. If you turn on the beta features. Yeah. But when it does release, we'll allow SteamOS to be on other handhelds and devices. I wonder if you could even run it on a desktop at that point, which is possible. I don't think I'd want to, because I don't really want to run Linux. Well, it's really hard for me to run Linux on a desktop with my development environment. I need to use like things to build Unreal and all that junk. So, right. But there is now a thing where I'm like, oh, if they're going that way, is Microsoft kind of also looking at having more like, no, we don't just have our own handheld. We work with these OEMs to have a suite of handhelds that all run our software, basically. Then to go back to that January thing of being the best of Xbox and Windows combined on these, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
I don't trust it.
Nope. But I am interested to see them go in that direction because I really enjoy handheld gaming. So that could differentiate them from me. So
yeah. Yeah, but the rumors are it's this year would be happening. Oh, this article I'm reading also has the thing on that the right now handheld PCs, like the Steam Deck, and then there's like the ROG Ally, things like that. Have only sold about 6 million total so far.
Between all of them.
Between all of them, a majority of it being a Steam Deck.
Steam Deck, exactly, yeah.
But still, it's still pretty niche overall, compared to like the number of everyone has the main other handheld for console is the Switch, and the Switch is what, up to 140 million-ish, roughly, give or take 10, I think.
What, sold right now? It's like 152, I thought.
It's one, okay. All right, so more than even I thought.
Yeah, I think it's 152.
And it's sold. And so Steam Decks are great. I love my Steam Deck. It's really cool, but it's still a pretty focused product. It has not really entered the mainstream. It's not like I can go to any big box store and just buy a Steam Deck off the shelves right now.
Nope. Right.
And maybe Valve eventually wants to get there. But it's not quite there yet. Microsoft has the ability probably to do that. They have the production chains, the distribution chains where they could be like, hey, there's an Xbox handheld and it's available at Target easily enough, or your Walmart or whatever store that a non-gamer person can walk into and be like, oh, that's cool, and I get one of those.
Well, I have so many games in the Xbox ecosystem that I would be pretty compelled by a good handheld. I don't know if it's this one or if I would wait 2 years. I probably would wait because I don't really need, my Steam Deck. Everything, I have enough. Like I said at the beginning of the year, I've spent less money this year on video games. In fact, haven't spent anything until 3 days ago when I spent $7 for the Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope DLC season pass thing, and then $5 for Shadow of War season pass, both on sale. So I've spent a total of like $12 or $13 on video games this year. Don't ask me about Magic. Do not. But video games. Why not?
This is not a game spending in total. It's just video game spending in total.
Exactly. That's how I differentiate it. I found a new thing to spend money on. God damn it. That didn't help.
So I don't know. I think Microsoft's in a strange position right now, but not out. But they're definitely in a refigure out what the Xbox brand means in a lot of ways. And we're learning that as they're putting these games out on other consoles and being like, okay, we make games, we make, ideally, I was just seeing a thing that was talking about like Capcom, history of Capcom, and how well Capcom has been doing right now. And effectively in the past decade, almost every year Capcom has had one big game, not of the same franchise, come out every year, and those games were almost universally in Game of the Year conversations.
Yeah.
And Microsoft, when's the last time that Microsoft has had a Game of the Year conversation piece and a game every year?
Gun to my head, quality. I couldn't even name one.
Yeah. That was the thing. It's like, Microsoft is probably in the place that Capcom was before this, where they just have to refocus on if they're going to do games, what do they need to do? Yep. What do they need to make it big? I also was talking about the console stuff in a way that is very North American focused. Xbox has never had success worldwide.
Right. It's always been American.
Not once. I mean, they came close in the 360 in Europe, but never Japan and Asia overall. But since that point, since the 360, they've never even come close in any non-North America market for the most part. So there is something there of being like, well, maybe they need they clearly are having a hard time getting that market penetration worldwide, but the games probably can if they do it right.
Yeah, because people have machines that they will play good games on, so they just put out fucking good games. And this year has the potential to be a pretty banger year for them. I don't think Avowed hit as well as maybe they want, but it did pretty good, I thought.
Yeah. It was kind of, I guess, where I expected.
Mid 80s or something like that.
81.
Or, no, was it 81?
Right? Yeah. 81, 82. It was an 8 out of 10 game, which is kind of where I expect Obsidian games kind of land, which is weird, but true. It's somewhere in the 80 range.
Which is a good game,
Yeah, that's just kind of what they do. I mean, the Pillars of Eternity stuff tended to be very high 80s, like 88, 89, where Avowed is a little lower, but either way, Obsidian they make a specific type of game, and I don't think Avowed is necessarily bad in any way, shape, or form in that regard. It seems, I saw people enjoyed it. I'll probably play it eventually, but
yeah, I would. There's a point where I'm going to get Game Pass for a month. Or no, 3 months.
So it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for when Doom is out and South of Midnight and Clair Obscure, and kind of time that time period so I can dabble in each of those and see what they're like.
Yeah, that's actually a great way to do it. So
that'll help me spread my dollars, my gaming dollars this year.
Exactly. But they had Avowed out. What else is big stuff Microsoft has coming this year? They have
Doom: The Dark Ages.
Yeah,
that's a big one for them.
That one, that's going to be,
and it looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's another one I'm not thinking of. Well, they have Indie coming to PS5.
Yeah, they do. And I heard that was actually really good. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if they've announced any of their main stuff for the back end of the year, like Microsoft Game Studio
I don't think
stuff
at all. No one has.
Ninja Gaiden 4, that's them.
But that's a partnership, though.
It is a partnership. There's Outer Worlds 2, which is the other Obsidian thing, but I expect that to be again sitting in that 8 range. So no, actually looking at the stuff, they don't have a lot themselves right now.
Well, they're not going to date anything in the back half because of GTA 6 or
GTA. They're like, nah, it's fine.
Everyone's staying away from that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So yeah, I just think Microsoft is just in another time of rebuilding, refocusing, shifting their brand a bit, revitalize what it means to be Xbox at this point and what people can expect out of that brand.
Right.
They could make a good Halo. That'd be cool.
That would be nice. Yeah. Just do something different. Just do something different. Give it to a different studio and see, have someone do something weird and different. I don't know. God.
Yeah. That was, again, watching the Capcom history thing as being they're talking about some of it was like Monster Hunter was a good one on, like, World blew up worldwide finally. But talking about, like, that was a very specific choice being made of being like, hey, we want to make a Monster Hunter game that is true to the roots of Monster Hunter, but much more approachable by a worldwide audience. And I think Halo similarly, like, you need to go back, look at what the roots of, like, Halo 1, 2, 3 were, Reach as well, and be like, what made people fall in love with this? And really focus on that and strip away the crap.
Yeah.
Just go back to that, like, core bit and stop chasing trends in some ways.
Yep.
Because that's not what it's like. Okay, yeah, your franchises are built on specific things and people want those things. So it doesn't mean you have to be exactly that. But you should look at the past, figure out what you need, and trend chasing never ever works for the most part. So
we've seen so many people fail, right?
Yeah.
Chasing, especially right now, live service, like, just epic fails.
Yeah. But even they're not even doing interesting live service. That's the problem.
Right.
Like, it's not even true to their franchise. They're like, oh, we see this live service being done by another game that's very successful. How do we duct tape that onto our franchise? Instead of looking at the franchise and being like, okay, if we wanted to do some of this live service stuff, what actually fits for this franchise, for this game? And makes it cohesive and feel right. Because most of the time you just feel like it's tacked on. Like, why is this even here? Why does it need to be this? Because in some ways I'm like, I bring Monster Hunter up again. I can talk about when I play more of it, like Worlds and Wilds especially now. I'm like, this is the epitome of a live service game. I get daily login bonuses. There's weekends, like, special events that go on that have, like, unique hunts. There's a big title update that's going to add, like, new hunts and new monsters in April. It is true. I mean, if you define live service, it is a live service game, but it doesn't feel tacked on to Monster Hunter. It just feels like naturally part of the game I'm playing. Of being like, here's new things for you to experience and do.
Yeah, the same way with Helldivers, that is live service as well, but it wasn't done poorly. It made sense how it was done.
Yeah.
And Concord,
it feels right. Yeah, exactly. You're like, Concord, you look at it like, this is just chasing the hero shooter trend. It's not doing anything true to itself other than, hey, we're not Overwatch, but we kind of are.
And if you like Overwatch, but you're mad at it, come play us.
Yeah, it's a weird play. You don't want to be in that spot. So,
well, that's kind of a natural transition to what you've been playing. Have you been playing lots of Monster Hunter?
On the weekend, I've been doing... What have I been doing? I put more time into it. I think I just got through it's weird how I say the story, because I'm like, oh, I beat low rank and that felt like the end of the story. It's not. That's like the transition from the very focused, more single player story, learning the game and the mechanics, and then you get to Hunter rank 20 at the end of that. It feels like a tutorial. You get out, and now it's like, oh, remember that world thing where you're just always kind of online with other people and around? I got dumped into that, and tonight, before we recorded, I finished up what I consider like the final, like, main hunt from that. So I'm truly in the end game now. Like, I have access to the highest rank weapons and armors to craft. I think every mechanic is open for me at this point. So I've hit the whole final point. It's good Monster Hunter. They have definitely streamlined parts of it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. The complaints some people have is that the hunts can be done real fast if you get optimized. Sub 10 minutes, sub 5 minutes if you're real good. And people are like, that's just too fast. And I'm like, it can be. I don't know. Like, it feels like the right time frame for me as I'm playing. It's like, I just go in and I start fighting. And if I'm skillful and doing my thing, and at this point, where I'm at, you need to be. I don't typically die. I have died sometimes because I get sloppy or I like totally mismanage what I'm doing and get smacked real hard. But that's okay. But generally I feel like the whole process is streamlined enough, but it's still Monster Hunter. I still have to do a lot of my normal Monster Hunter things between hunts. The way, since the world is effectively just this big open zone, there's no loading times. It's real quick to just be like, oh, I want to hunt this monster right now, and just tag it and then just go to it and fight. Like, and if you're on your little mount, you can just press D-pad up and it will just auto take you to the.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It will just auto take you through the world to the monster.
Yeah.
And while you're on that, you go ahead.
Someone described it as like boss rush Monster Hunter, like monster fighter, where you're not really hunting them, but you can kind of just auto go and, fight each monster.
Yeah, they got rid of the investigation portion of it, and you can just go to the monster. But it's not like there's not things that I want to do during that transition to the monster. Like that's where you're like, you have your slinger and you're pulling off resources as you're running by and like doing gathering on the fly. So they do a good job of giving you, like, I wouldn't say busy work, but keeping you busy on that transport over to the monster. And then you start fighting the monster. And then if you're just in the open world, not doing any kind of specific quest, you finish fighting the monster and then you can just pick another one and go if you want. But like the feel of the fighting is so much smoother than other Monster Hunters. Like, it just feels so good to fight. They've really emphasized different like sub mechanics of blocking and countering and making it feel real good when you do it. Really just smoothing the whole experience out. I wouldn't say make it easier, but definitely make it approachable people to learn that the more skillful aspects of the game, which is what they wanted to do. The director of the game has talked about, like, no, we want to make it so people can get further in the game. I saw that like 70, based on Steam achievement, over 70% of the people who played the game have made it to high rank this time.
Wow, that seems really high.
Really good, because I think from data has shown that a lot of like those huge drop offs, like a lot of people never made it to high rank in the world.
Right,
they stop at some point, and that's kind of when the game really kind of starts. So I guarantee the whole way Wild is structured is just to get people further in there. It's like 70% to high rank, and then the place that I just got to, 50% of the player base.
Hey folks, at this point Discord went nuts and it's really hard to hear what the hell we're saying, so I'm cutting to a part where we're talking about what else we've been playing. Sorry to cut that Monster Hunter Wilds conversation a little short, but that was not working out.
So what else have I been playing? I've been playing, as of Friday, Steam sale had started, spring sale started, and I said to my kids, when this happened, we'd buy Stardew Valley for everybody.
Oh, nice.
I've had it, but now just get everyone a copy, and now we're doing a 4-player, multiplayer Stardew Valley farm.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
With the family.
And is that cross-platform?
No, we're all on PCs.
Okay. You're on PCs.
I actually have 4 PCs in the house now. My wife's work computer, my desktop, my son has his desktop, and then my daughter, she was using a laptop for a long time. It died. I had a take me home from work. They were getting rid of old PCs, so she has this ridiculous old dev machine. So I wouldn't use it for dev now, but it's like a AMD, a Ryzen 1900X. It's a Threadripper.
Wow.
So it has like ridiculous number of cores, but it's not great. Like it has 64 gigabytes of RAM. It has it's like a 1070 GPU. It's like I said, it's years old from work they gave to me. But her laptop that she had always used for all her stuff died, and I just had this one laying around, and so she's using that now. But it works great for Stardew Valley. No issues there. So we did just all PCs and start doing that. We've only gone through we did 2 nights, and I got us through the first 12 days of in-game time.
And you're all on the same farm.
Yes, we each have everyone has their own cabins on the farm. There's basically 4-way farm, and each person has a cabin in a one of the quadrants. Mm-hmm. And then you just have to plan out what you're doing. Like my son's doing all the mining and just the mines themselves, all the combat parts. So he's just off doing that. Wife and I are pretty much the ones focusing on the farm itself, like planting things, watering things, getting the money generation going. My daughter's doing a lot of foraging and fishing. So everyone has their things to do. And it's been a lot of fun, generally. It's a neat way to spend time with the family overall, because we've all enjoyed Stardew Valley on our own in different ways. But the thing is, the multiplayer changes some of the stuff because you can't pause the game. There's no way to pause time because you're in multiplayer. One person can't pause and the other people continue. That doesn't work.
Can you all pause though?
The host, which my wife is actually acting as the host with the actual save file and the farm. She can pause the whole thing if she wants to, but individual clients can't pause.
Got it. Okay.
So, and we try not to do pausing at all. Just it's get up, it's go. And it's a different pace than if you were doing it single player, where you can pause the game, look at notes, determine what you're going to do. It's you're just kind of free-forming it, just doing your best you can. But the thing is with Stardew Valley, and over the years as they put in more and more updates, you can't really ever miss anything. There's no FOMO for anything in the game. If you don't do it the first time it comes around, it will come around the next year without issue. You never have to worry about that again. So we're just kind of all reprogramming our minds to just be just do what you can do and be fun. Just have a good time with it. And I think we are. It's a good time. My kids are like, when are we going to do it again? I'm like, weeknights are kind of hard for us to do it, but probably Friday or Saturdays. At least one, if not both. It's just a neat family activity. I'm happy doing it.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's similar to what we've been playing. We are continuing to bond as a family over Astrobot. Totally different game, but it's the video game that's run by my wife, and, which does not happen very often. So the last week, my daughter made me not play. She said I couldn't play until she opened up the secret level at the end. So she did. She collected all the puzzle pieces, and she had enough bots. When you go back to the hub world, 300 bots lead you up to the moon, and then you start this really intense platforming challenge where you can't make any mistakes. You don't have any special abilities, and you're just trying to get from one end to the other, and it's like a 5-minute long, basically speed run from hell level. And my daughter finally opened it up the morning after I had been out late drinking quite a bit. So I was very hungover and not feeling well. And she opened it up right as I was coming downstairs. She's like, and she played it for a couple times. She's like, Daddy, can you help me? This is really hard. So the first time that I experienced this really hard Astrobot level was when I was incredibly hungover, and did not do super well. Probably tried it 40 times. I was like, this is not happening.
Yeah, you're no, mentally I am not there right now. I'm sorry.
This is making me want to vomit. But then I came back to it that night. Actually, I unlocked. I just needed to finish one more level and get the puzzle pieces to unlock for myself. And then I went through and beat it probably 10 or 15 tries. It was hard, but it's super doable. And once you get the pieces and string together, it's pretty good. So just, overall, as we talked about in the last podcast, this is my favorite game of all time, and it's held up I loved doing every single thing in this game, and then ultimately, completing that final level, getting the final bot, which is a Dungeon Master or something from Rappa the Rappa. And then that was the last trophy I needed to pop the platinum. So it's the first game I've platinumed in years, and felt good doing it.
Yeah, you shared that. It was really cool. Congrats on that. That's a lot
Thank
to do,
you.
And I'm glad
Feeling
everyone in your family's
good.
still having a good time with that.
Oh yeah, because now my daughter wants to go and complete that final level, which we'll see how that goes. But now my wife is 3/4 or 4/5 of the way through the game, so she's gonna beat the game too. I don't think she's gonna 100% it like my daughter and I are. But she is enjoying it. She sings the songs during the day, or hums the songs, I should say. So it's all good. Other than that, the only game I've played this week is one that I'm talking about on the RPG backlog. We've recorded a bunch of episodes for it, and I'm going to start putting them out this Friday, so check that out, the RPG backlog. We have played through Bastion, which is Supergiant Games' first game, I believe.
Yep.
And man, Anthony, I have never had so much whiplash for a game like I have for this one. For the first episode, where we kind of worked through the first 5 or 6 sections, it just felt pretty bland to me, and after that everything was amazing. So it started off a little slow, I guess is probably what I'd say, and then it really, really, really turned itself on, and I absolutely love that game. It's so good. The story is so good. The way it tells the story is great. The way you progress with new abilities, new weapons that you can decide to keep or not. But then as you get towards the end of the game, where you get like the fucking battering ram, and then all that happens, and you got those choices to make at the end with like, do you keep the person? Do you not? And then do you restart, or do you just leave? Just really impactful small choices. And I was really surprised to see that at the end of a game like this. You can see the DNA of Hades all over this game, but it really is its own game too. And I initially didn't think that, and it's just incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I'm glad you got there, because it was incredibly impactful to me when I played it back in 2011 when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think same to you. Like, I was playing it at the beginning, I was like, this is fine. Like, there wasn't a lot like it at the time. Like, there wasn't other Supergiant games. So a game that did the narrator like it did, and like that amused me enough to get me into the story quite a ways. And then it hooks you, and you get the back half of the game, which is so good. And the music is incredible. Oh my god.
It really is great.
Build that wall and then set sail. They're so good.
Well, the sound quality is so crispy. It's such not just great music, but it's so well recorded. It is such high quality.
Yeah. Darren Korb, man, it was good back then, and he's only gotten better.
Oh God, I know. He started off as a banger. It makes me want to, at this point, the only Supergiant game that I haven't played, as far as I'm aware, is Pyre. We talked about it a long time ago on the podcast. I played for like an hour or something like that and just didn't get into it. But now I'm like, I have to go back and play Pyre.
We should do that at one point together and get through that one.
Oh, that'd be cool. That would be a good one.
I haven't. I mean, I made it quite a bit further than that. I made it probably like 7 or 8 hours into the game.
Oh, yeah. Way further than me.
And I should, because there's a couple acquaintances and ex-coworkers and stuff that I've talked to since, and one of them loves Pyre, like loves it, and alluded to that there's like a change somewhere in the game. Like,
that's interesting.
That twists it, and you're like the story twists in a way that's unexpected and changes the whole context of what's going on. And I'm like, I think I should play this because I think there's something hidden here that I just didn't get to. But I mean, it's all the same people. It's the same people that did Bastion. And you're playing it, and it reminded me that the narrator in Bastion plays Hades in the Hades games.
Yep.
Yeah, Logan Cunningham.
Well, I think I don't know what he plays in Transistor. I don't know if it's
Transistor.
The Sword. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
so
going to try
he's
to
kind of been the narrator for all of it, really.
Yeah, right. He's been through. Obviously, he's got the Empire as well. I'm going to try to convince Travis to when we finish this to do Transistor next because he feels the same way I do. It's like exactly the same. Like, oh, this is okay, kind of, and then it just blew our fucking minds. So he's really glad we played it. I am too, and I think Transistor's much better than Bastion, and Bastion's still really good. So, yeah, man,
yeah,
good stuff. Supergiant Games fucking know what they're doing. I hope Hades 2 comes out in 1.0 so we can start playing that. I mean, I played it quite a bit, but I know you haven't.
Nope.
We'll see this year.
Gotta stay away. But we'll see. I'm hoping this year. I'm hoping into this year. But
yeah,
they will take whatever time they need, and that's okay.
Yep, they don't need to rush it at all.
No.
But yeah, other than Magic, that's what I've been playing. So, yeah. My daughter and I played face-to-face Magic again today with our Assassin's Creed starter decks, and she kicked the shit out of me again. Like, I don't know if these decks are actually balanced, or I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Which one was
I haven't beaten her. She's Eivor. She's Eivor deck.
Yeah, that one's way better.
Clearly.
every time because my son and I, we swap back and forth
on
those when we were playing them, and whoever had the Eivor deck effectively won. Crushed with the
That's what she's doing. Absolutely. That's what she's doing every single time.
So fast.
Yep, it's really fast. And it's like
the other
vigilance
deck isn't really built around speed. And doesn't have enough control pieces in it to get to the mid range that it needs. It's a very mid rangey deck, and it's just but it wants to be a mid range deck, but doesn't have the actual cards to be a mid range deck.
That makes a lot of sense.
At least that's from my experience looking at it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense that she's just like, look I slam these red cards onto the table and smash you, and you're like, yep that's what you do.
It's a great introduction to Magic because she's getting it really well, too well. But that's okay. Other than that, anything else for the good of the podcast?
I don't think so. I'll probably in the next couple of weeks have something to say on this little Ambernick handheld that I got that I've been setting up and putting stuff on. It plays PS1 games really well.
It does. I like my little. It's a nice form factor or nice size for somebody that can play fucking PlayStation games. You know, the early PlayStation games. I'm taking.
Actually, I've tested it. It will also play Dreamcast. I've got it.
Oh, right.
I put the original Guilty Gear on it just to see how that plays fine. It plays so good. I'm like, check. So this will play some Dreamcast games as well, like in a package that is like, don't know, like half the area of the Steam Deck screen. I'm like, it's so ridiculous.
When I have the clamshell version, I'm taking it to New York next weekend. So I've got I bought a SD card with a bunch of games on it that goes into the second slot. Does yours have 2 slots?
It has 2 slots. I'm only using the one right now, but
I bought a card to put in the second one.
Yeah,
and it plays really well.
Selection.
Yeah, it's a good little thing. I think I like probably your form factor better than mine. Yours is the dual analog, but I do like the clamshell where it protects the screen. Just throw it in a bag and not worry about it. So it's really good. The battery doesn't last as long as I would hope it would, but other than that, it's been quite good. So
this just has to survive for the most part a flight to Europe. That's the plan.
Fingers crossed.
And train. We'll see. And funny, you talk about the screen. It came with a screen protector.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go.
Like in the box, it had one of the screen protectors to apply, which I put on. So I'm like, cool. That's all I needed.
Excellent.
All the flights though will have USB ports and everything. I can charge for the flight. But I have more to say about that as I prep this thing over the next couple weeks to get it ready. But awesome. It's way nicer than worrying about my Steam Deck or my Switch.
Hell yeah!
Because there was part of me that was like, oh man, I want to. There's 2 things coming out while I'm on vacation. There's, it comes out this week, and I'll be getting it as a Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I'm like, man, I'd love to take that on a Switch and play that for this trip. And then like April 10th, while I'm on vacation, Promise Mascot Agency comes out on Steam.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, well, the whole dev team has shown it runs really well on the Steam Deck. They run it on the Steam Deck and do their testing on Steam Deck a lot. So I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. I could be there and I could just download it and play it on Steam Deck there. But I'm like, I don't want to take my Steam Deck. It takes up too much room, and I would be so upset if something happened to it in any way.
Yeah, as opposed to like the Amber Neck, like if it gets lost or stolen or whatever, it's like
I'll be bombed, but okay, whatever. Yeah. I can replace a $70. I think this was like $70 or something.
Yeah, they're pretty nice.
I can replace that more than the OLED Steam Deck is $500 minimum.
Yeah,
or more. Yeah.
Yeah, I spent more than that on. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable.
Makes a ton of sense. No, don't do that.
Yeah. In the coming weeks, we can talk about it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, cool. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. If you like our podcast, rate it on your podcast service of choice. Also check out our sister, brother, sibling podcast, the RPG Backlog, and we'll see you next week.
Later, everyone.